Welcome, mathematicians. In this video, we're going to walk through two examples of writing the equation for a line. Before we start, let's recall the two forms for linear equations that we have. These general forms are the tools in our toolkit that we have for writing specific equations for lines. Our first is slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We have our slope, and we have our y-intercept. The second form is point-slope form. We have our slope, and x1, y1 is a specific point that's on this line. Let's look at example one. For this one, we want to write the equation of a line that was shown here in the graph. Before I do anything, I'm going to just pull out any information I can find from the graph. First, I see 2 points are clearly labeled. This point is 0, 4. I'm just going to write their coordinates. And this point is 1, negative 1. So that's helpful to know. I'm also going to walk the graph to find the slope. I'm going to start at 0, 4, and I'm going to move horizontally to the right 1. So that means my change in x is a positive 1. And then I'm going to move downwards to the second point. I move down, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So change in y is negative 5. When I put that information together, I know my slope is my change in y over change in x, that constant rate of change, negative 5 over positive 1, which is simply negative 5. So I have lots of good information now. I know 2 points and I know my slope. So now I'm going to think about, do I want to start with slope-intercept form or point-slope form? For this one, I'm going to pick slope-intercept form because I know the slope, negative 5, and I happen to know the y-intercept, 0, 4. So when I start with slope-intercept form, I can fill in what I know. I know the slope is negative 5, and I know my y-intercept is 4, and I'm done. So anytime you know your y-intercept, just go ahead and use slope-intercept form to get that equation. Here's our second example. I'm just going to read this out loud. Write the equation for the line that passes through the point 2, 1 and has a slope of 2 over 3, 2/3. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. So I know my final equation needs to be in slope-intercept form, even though I might not start there. I'm going to first pull out the important information from this. I know that my slope, constant rate of change, is, 2/3. 2/3. And the point that I know on this line is 2, 1. Even though I want to write this equation eventually in slope-intercept form, I don't want to start here because I don't know the y-intercept. Instead, because I know the slope and 1 point on the line, I'm going to start with point-slope form. Y equals, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. I'm going to fill in what I know. I know my y1 is 1. I know my slope is 2/3. And I know my x1 is 2. That's filled in. Now that I have the equation for the line, I can now worry about the fact that I want it to be in slope-intercept form. So for this, I'm just going to use good old algebra. I'm going to isolate y by adding 1 to both sides and then simplify. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides and start distributing at the same time. So I have 2/3 times x minus 2/3 times 2 plus 1. Let's do a little arithmetic. 2/3 of an x minus 4/3. I'm going to write 1 with a common denominator of 3. Now, so important here, make sure when you do this arithmetic, you're doing your addition and subtraction left to right. So I need to think about subtraction first and then addition. So I have 2/3 of an x minus 4/3 plus 3/3. So the same as negative 4 plus 3, which will give me negative 1/3. And there I have the equation for the line in slope-intercept form. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. So easy just to start with point-slope form because we knew the slope and a point, and then algebra will just get us down to where we need. Once we're in slope-intercept form, we can do a couple of things. We might say, well, let's get some points for this line. First of all, I know the y-intercept when x is 0, y is negative 1/3. I might say, well, what happens when I substitute in 1? Y is going to be 2/3 times 1 minus 1/3, which is 2/3 minus 1/3, which is simply 1/3. And so 1 is a positive 1/3. So slope-intercept form is awesome for finding the y-intercept, and it's also really easy because it's in function form to go ahead and find other points. I hope you found these two examples helpful. Please don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions or you want to work a few more examples together. All right, see you next time, mathematicians.